Okay, well, welcome everyone. Good afternoon. You have Frank Santos with Vanco. I'm the Director of Training, and my colleague here is Randy Blanchard, our Director of Audio. So we certainly appreciate your time in this weird time that we're all going through. But obviously, with a lot of people working from home, as Randy said, we might as well learn something. So that's why we're here. We're holding webinars every week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. We had the one this morning. If you missed it, it was about our HDMI cables and HDMI extenders under the Evolution line. If you missed that one, we are holding that one again this Thursday, March the 26th, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. And we're also going to repeat this presentation as well. So if you have anybody else who could not make this meeting, let them know that they can catch it again on Thursday. And of course, if you ever need a one-on-one, we're always available for a one-on-one meeting as well. But we're also looking for your feedback for next week. So let us know what you guys want to learn about in terms of Vanco product. We certainly want some ideas of what we should present for next week. So we'll take it a week-by-week basis. We are working on an e-learning module, which will be out very soon. So for the meantime, again, we'll be doing PowerPoint presentations and webinars every week. And again, we can also do them on demand for you guys. So let's get started. This presentation is all about distributed audio for commercial applications. I will start off and then Randy will take it from there. So about Vanco, if you guys don't know about Vanco, we were born in 1957 in Illinois. That's where we reside today. We were originally a provider of mobile and CB accessories, and about more than 15 years ago, we decided to start focusing on AV, specifically HDMI. We started producing HDMI cables, and then we graduated towards HDMI distribution products like splitters, switchers, extenders. We started getting into the matrix units, HD-Base-T, and we're into HDMI over IP currently. And we also have an audio line, or I should say two audio lines with Beale Street Audio and Pulse Audio to round out our AV offering. So our focus has been on AV distribution and audio for quite some time. Vanco is actually short for Van Company. We used to sell products right out of a van, going from dealer to dealer, distributor to distributor. Obviously, we no longer do that today. Up top is a picture of our warehouse, again, located in Batavia, Illinois, which we are still open. Obviously, a lot of us are working from home, but we are still shipping. We are still QCing products out of there. But again, most of us at home. So again, we're headquartered and we ship out of Batavia, Illinois. All right, speaking of our QC process, that picture up above is what's called our QC cage. We actually test products twice. Every black box that we produce, including our amplifiers, are tested twice. We actually employ Vanco employees in Asia where our products are manufactured, and their job is to make sure that every black box is tested before it ships to Illinois. Once it reaches Illinois, we test it again. We've got 5 testers upstairs, each with their own tables, a mix of different displays, sources, you name it, we got it. Every version of Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, Blu-ray players, Dish Network, cable boxes. What we are trying to do is we are trying to break our product before it ships out to our distributors and ultimately to you guys, our dealers. So just know, if you've got a Vanco HDMI distribution product or even an amplifier, it has been tested twice. Now with that, on our Evolution products, we have a 10-year warranty. Our Beale products, it is a 2-year warranty on our amplifiers. It's limited lifetime on the speakers. We also have a lifetime warranty on all of our cables, audio, video, HDMI. Every cable that we sell has a lifetime warranty. Our brand partners include JVC, Yamaha, VORTEX, TrendNet, and Luxel. That list is growing. And last but not least, our technical support is available via phone, email, or website chat. And that's we've got 4 great people working our tech support lines, and they're all working from home. All right, so I'm going to hand it over to Randy Blanchard, again, our audio director. He's going to take it from here.
Thank you, Frank. Appreciate it. Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Today we're gonna talk about Beale Street 70-volt product offering, both in terms of speakers and amplifiers. But before we do that, we're gonna do kind of a very, very high level 101 on 70 volt audio. If you're already in the space, this will be very basic for you. If you're not in the space, then this will be a good primer, but I encourage you to get into the business, reach out to the folks at Avixa or Cedia, and take some trainings on it. It's a pretty easy business to get into, and pretty profitable. And the commercial guys are still they're still installing speakers, even in days like this. So anyways, let's talk about 70 volt audio. Another name for it is constant voltage audio. Just a couple, again, quick things. Typically, it's going to be mono. We're not worried about stereo. What we're worried about is dispersion. We're worried about even sound, spreading sound out. We're not worried about left and right separation, imaging, things like that. Great thing about it, it's easier to install. You're wiring from the amp to the speaker, all the way down. You're wiring everything in a single line, so you're not having to home run all of your wires. So installation is a lot easier. And actually, the volume level of the speaker is actually dictated on the back of the speaker by its wattage tab. Sorry, get rid of this. Again, we know this is commercial. The other place you see 70 volt is in residential, large backyards, large landscape areas, where again, I'm trying to get a lot of music. I'm not worried about stereo. I'm not worried about stereo separations. So we talk about what's the difference between resi and commercial, residential, commercial. We're typically talking about 8 ohm for residential and 70 volts for commercial. Some of the solutions, some of the reasons you use it, obviously background music, restaurants, things like that, public announcements, PA systems. Again, large areas, we need to get a lot of speakers out there, and we don't want massive power to try to drive those speakers. Another huge market, unfortunately, these days is the mass notification market with active shooter drills, things like that going on. It is a very, very, very large market these days for audio integrators. So again, why do we do this, right? Well, it's typically a lot less expensive. You're using less speakers. You're certainly using less amplifier. Installation becomes a lot easier. Some of the things you want to be careful of when you're installing, because remember, we're talking dispersion, right? We want to cover areas. So when we're doing that, and we're going to show you some simple layouts and how to calculate how many speakers. But rule of thumb, just make sure you're avoiding obstructions. Make sure you don't put speakers behind columns, behind pillars, things like that. Window partitions, things that are going to reduce the dispersion of the loudspeaker and the music. So again, simple. Again, this is very high level, shall we say. When you're putting in the speakers, how do I figure out how many speakers I need? Well, in a traditional speaker, typical loudspeakers, again, this is typical. Great rule of thumb is your first speaker is 1 times the ceiling height away from a wall, and then 2 times the ceiling height after that. Again, you can see the layout from here. This is a really good basic rule of thumb to begin with. Of course, if you're using a very narrow dispersion loudspeaker, you'll need more. If you're using a wider dispersion loudspeaker like our Beale Streets, you might be able to get away with less. There's also how much coverage. Do I want minimal, a lot of coverage? But anyways, great rule of thumb to begin with here. So you want to figure out how many speakers I need. It's really simple. Take the square footage of the room, take your ceiling height times 2, then square it, then divide the square footage of the room by that number, and that's going to give you an approximate how many speakers. So again, it's all math, right? So you're quoting a job and you need to kind of figure out how many speakers I need for this job. Here's a pretty simple formula, and you can find this formula all over the internet. You can email us at the end. We'll be happy to share these slides with you. But again, this is a great basic formula to begin with. So we know how many speakers, right? Now we got to figure out how much power I need. And again, these you can find these calculators on the internet. As you get better, you won't need them. But first, we need to determine how loud we want the room to be. Again, here we're talking a fairly loud, like a restaurant or a bar. So we want the average volume to be about 85 dB. That's traffic. That's loud traffic. You need to know your speaker sensitivity, and you need to know approximately how far from the listener the loudspeaker is going to be. You got to remember, the ear when a person's sitting is about 4 feet from the ground. So we did 12. We figured about a 16-foot ceiling or so. Plug all these in. Again, you can find these calculators all over the internet. We are developing our own calculator, so you'll be able to get it from our website hopefully soon. But now we say, okay, I need 5.3 watts per speaker. You don't need a ton of power. It's amazing. I mean, people think, oh, I got to have all this power. You really don't need a lot of power to get good sound pressure, to get high SPLs. So when you do that, you simply take the required amplifier power, multiply it by the number of speakers you're using, and then you want to multiply that by 120%. You want to make sure your amplifier has about 20% headroom. So we don't want to try to drive the amplifier to its maximum, because there's something, we have a very loud crescendo. We want to have this amplifier have enough headroom to be able to accommodate that. So here's an example, right? 6 speakers. I rounded 5.3 down to 5 watts. So it's 30 watts of power, 120. I need 36 watts of amplifier power to drive this 6-speaker system. Well, guess what? Pulse Audio, one of our companies, we make a 40-watt amplifier that would be a perfect use for this application. Again, guys, very high level, but it's all math when it comes to 70 volt. Yes, all right. Click the back button instead of the forward button. All right. Like I said, high level, few slides. Let's talk about Beale Street, what we do. So first thing, let's talk about almost all architectural speakers. All you guys who installed speakers in your life, you've seen this, whether it's a 8-ohm speaker or a 70-volt speaker, they look like this. The problem with most architectural loudspeakers is the infinite baffle design. It really was never a great design, but it's what we have. The problem with the infinite baffle design is you have sound that comes out the front, and guess what? We got sound that comes right off the backside of that woofer as well. It resonates into other rooms. It resonates the enclosure that's above it. If it's a open ceiling, it sends the sound right down the ceiling. If it's near ductwork, it'll resonate the ductwork. It'll resonate pipes. At very best, you're going to get a pretty inconsistent sound. Now, here is kind of an example of what happens when you take a traditional architectural loudspeaker. We put it into a ceiling enclosure. Again, doesn't matter if it's residential or commercial. That back box is going to dictate the performance of the loudspeaker, whether it has no bass, a lot of bass, whether it'll affect the dispersion of the loudspeaker. It will, like I said, at best, these two speakers would sound different from each other, even though they're the exact same speaker. And then you got the sound waves that comes off the back of the woofer, goes right up into the second floor, rattles the baby room. You guys have installed speakers. At some point, you're going to have the complaint from your customer. I was listening to the theater in my family room, and I can hear it up in my bedroom, and it's making me crazy. Well, That's the loudspeaker doing exactly what it's designed to do. Now, our approach is different. Now, you can, and I will pause in the middle of this, you could just put a can on the back of a speaker. That would work. But as soon as they put a can on the back of a loudspeaker, I crush the low frequency response. Bass needs free air to move. So putting a can on the back of a speaker, while it will isolate that speaker from other areas, will prevent it from generating any good, decent low bass. So what we've done is we've taken a design we call Sonic Vortex. It's our patent. It's not a new design. It's a design that's been around since the 30s. It's a ported transmission line design. You guys have sold a tower speaker from any major brand that uses small 5-inch, 6-inch woofers. Chances are really, really good it's a transmission line loudspeaker. So the design's not new. It's how we move air, how we generate bass in a small enclosure. We're just a company that happened to patent it for the ceiling. No one else can do it. It's our patent, and it is it's pretty fabulous. So what we do is we take that back wave off the woofer, like we showed you before, that normally is rattling the rooms above, that's coupling with ductwork, that's coupling with pipes, that's shaking everything. And we fire it down to the back of the cabinet. And then we break it into 6. We have a wave guide at the back of our cabinet that breaks it into 6 tubes. Those tubes come back out the front of the speaker, and we fire it back out the front. Let's see here. All right, yep, there it is right there. So what we do is we fire it back out the front of the speaker through these tube ports, and we end up with a great deep bass response, the same again as any transmission line design, and no sound off the back of the woofer. So all the sound comes off the front of the driver. You get tremendous deep bass response because of the way it's designed. The back wave is now in phase with the front wave. So there's no phase canceling at all. It's just a different approach. It's a different design. Another side benefit is we have 160-degree dispersion on our loudspeakers. Pretty much the widest in the business. That's a true measured 160-degree dispersion. As a matter of fact, on our website, you can download all the dispersion charts for all of our commercial loudspeakers. If you guys are using Ease software for room modeling, all of our products are available on Ease. So you can download, drop them into your room models, and figure out your speaker calculations. But it's a different approach. It's way more advanced than just putting a can on the back of a loudspeaker. So now we're going to talk about our 70-volt line. So today, our 70-volt speaker line in Beale, we also have Beale Basics, which is some non-Sonic Vortex product designed to help you hit a price point. But we're going to focus on Sonic Vortex on Beale Street, our bread and butter, what we do. We make 4 speakers today, a 4-inch, a 6.5-inch, and an 8-inch. All that are 70 volt or 100 volt or 25 volt. So 70 volt US, 100 volt is for European customers, and 25 volt is for the education market. Now we're seeing less and less of the education market utilizing 25 volt systems, but some still do. So if you're doing educational jobs and you're using a 25 volt system, while they don't make 25 volt amplifiers, we do have the ability for our speakers to work with 25 volt systems. So 4-inch, 6-inch, and an 8-inch. And then what we call a pancake 4-inch speaker. So shallow depth. I go to do my installation, I open it up, darn, there's something right above the ceiling. I only got about 2.5 inches of depth. My speakers are about 6 inches deep, give or take, 6.5. But I open it up, I don't have the space. Don't worry, we have a Sonic Vortex product that's about 3 inches, 3.5 inches deep, so you can get it into a tight space. All have pivoting tweeters, by the way, except for the pancake. So you can even position the audio better. This was a huge ask by our customers, which is, I love Sonic Vortex. I love the design. It works. I know it works. I want to hang them. Well, you can hang our speakers. There's actually mounting holes on the back of our speakers to hang them, but they don't look great. So what we've developed is pendant enclosures that you can see here. White and black, available for our 6-inch and 8-inch. The great part is that they're available. You can use them on the residential side or the commercial side. So we make some of the best sounding architectural subwoofers in the business. Our architectural subwoofers are really our hottest product. Now you can, even with this, do a pendant subwoofer. So I put a bunch of 70-volt speakers in a restaurant. Hey, in this area, the guy really wants to pound it. He really wants some bass. I can hang some 8-inch subwoofers. They're 8 ohm, but I'll show you on our amplifiers how that's not even a problem. So these enclosures fit our speakers, white and black. If you buy it in black, I'm going to give you a black grill. If you buy it in white, you're already getting a white grill with the speaker, but you won't even have to paint the grill. They are paintable if you want. For our friends out in California, we do have a seismic mount on these. So single mounting point, double mounting point is required by seismic code in California. Again, completely paintable. We are developing a wall mount bracket. Still working on that. But these also are IP65 rated, I believe. So you can put them in covered patios, places like that, outside dining areas and restaurants, lounge areas for office buildings. You can put the speakers out there. Hey, we make tile bridges. So we do have the tile bridges. Our speakers are heavy, but they do work. You don't need any additional bracing if you're using our tile bridges. Let's talk about our amplifiers. So that's it for the speakers. We have some very, very cool amplifiers. Long time in production because we didn't want to come out with them until they were really ready to rock and roll. So we have 2 amplifiers. They're both 1 kilowatt amplifiers, so they're both 1,000-watt amps. One is a 2x500. The other is a 4x250. What's great about these amplifiers is that, let me go back, I'll get to that in a second, is that each channel, so in our 4-channel amplifier, each channel can be 70 volt or 8 ohm. You can mix and match. So let's take our 2x500. Again, we'll talk about residential application real quick. Garden speakers. A lot of guys make these landscape loudspeakers. They're 70 volt, but the subwoofer's an 8 ohm subwoofer. You can use our 2x500 in that application and have one channel running all the speakers, the other channel running the sub. Again, we go back to the restaurant application. I got 70 volts everywhere, but now I want some good bass in this part of the bar, this part of the restaurant. I can dedicate channels, 1 channel, 2 channels, many as I want, to be 8 ohm to drive our subwoofers or drive some existing speakers, whatever. But you can decide whether you want 8 ohm or 70 volt. You can mix and match. So these are network amplifiers. Connect them up to the network. You need they're not Wi-Fi, so you do need to connect the RJ45. Type in the IP address, and we have several user screens that we're going to walk you through now. You're going to love this. This is really the secret sauce on our amplifiers. So all of our amplifiers are matrix amplifiers. I choose the input. I choose the output. I got slider controls by channel, or I can use the buttons up and down to raise and lower each channel. I can combine the channels. The fan gives you constant reading. We did a software update where this now comes out in Fahrenheit. The fan is on a thermistor, so it will fluctuate with the heat, so it's not always on if we don't need a lot of, thank you. Yeah, Frank warned me. He said, make sure, Randy, that you keep an eye on the little pop-ups. So I'm not good at those. So I apologize. So anyways, so as you can see by our little pop-up, thank you, Frank. You can send any audio to any room, and you can control the volume of any zone. And over here on the left-hand side, it displays the input and output levels. Hey, there's the fan I talked about. All right, let's talk about the next page. So we have a high-pass filter available for each channel. So if I want to put a subwoofer in, or I want to roll the highs out, I want to roll the lows out, I want to frequency limit a particular channel for a specific reason, I can do that. I can program separate bass and treble by channel, so I can tailor each zone, each channel individually. There's also a limiter by channel. Again, if that channel overloads, it'll cut that channel, it'll back it down, but it won't affect the other channels. So the whole amp won't go into protection if you're overdriving one zone. It'll only put that channel into its protection circuit. Now, this is one of my favorite parts of it. So we actually have a 3-channel parametric equalizer by channel. So we can really dial in each zone as much as you want. You can go out and buy a calibrated microphone. They're not terribly expensive. Download any of the graphic EQ software, hook it up, run a test of the room, see if there are excessive peaks or excessive nulls in a room. And now I can tailor each room because I can add to specific frequencies. I can cut out specific frequencies. I can really dial in high pass and low pass filters. I can do it for 3 different frequencies. Great application for this. Again, I go back to the restaurant. I put a bunch of speakers in, but now they're rattling the glasses hanging over the bar. Well, everything has a specific resonant frequency. All I've got to do is figure out what that resonant frequency is. And I can actually chop it out of that channel. I can put a gentle slope filter in, or I can put a brick wall filter in. But I can really tailor it. I got some great bass going on, but it's shaking the windows in the front of the bar. Again, figure out the resonant frequency, cut it out, and let's not cut the bass out. There's a cancellation of the bar. Somewhere I'm losing highs. I can boost the highs to bring them back in. Again, great feature, really lets you as an integrator dial this amplifier in to the customer's needs, and then you lock it down and you don't give them access to this. Yeah. I'm never good with those pop-ups. Once I do that, I can save it into the software. I can save it into the amplifier. I can create actually 20 different presets. So I could have a preset that's when the bar is, it's 9 o'clock and we got to crank up the music. So I can have a crank up the music one. I can have a Sunday brunch setting that has the music lowered, that, rolls the bass out a little bit. I can really dial it in and then save it and have various settings for a customer. Another great application for this, my favorite application, is I can save this in the amplifier, but I can also save it in my computer. So congratulations, you just scored 10 Chick-fil-A's. I like Chick-fil-A. You just scored 10 Chick-fil-A's. Well, not every Chick-fil-A looks like every other Chick-fil-A. So you design one, you set it up, you tailor the amplifier for that Chick-fil-A, right? You do all the settings. Now the franchise owner calls you up and says, hey, I'm ready for restaurant number 2. No problem. You take that program, you dump it into another amp, send it out to the job site, pre-programmed, ready to go. Another great feature of this. So you got it saved in your laptop. Heaven forbid one of our amps craps out. Hopefully never happened, but let's say it does. Guy calls you up and says, my amplifier's bad. Well, you can run to your favorite distributor, get an amplifier, dump his program in, take it out to the job site, and give it to him done. Take the bad amp back, send it back to us, we'll swap it out for you under warranty. But now, instead of a loaner amp or having the customer have even more downtime, you can give him pre-programmed, pre-loaded amplifier, and he is back up and running in a matter of hours instead of days or weeks. So again, great feature. Remember we talked about how each channel can be 70 or 100 volt? Pretty simple. Pick your channel, pick your output. Again, you can't have one channel do multiples. It has to be one or the other, but this is the setup page. You can have the amplifier either stay on all the time or power off at signal sensing or power off with the push of the button. You know, sometimes they want the amp to go off at night, other times they don't. Honestly, the amplifiers are designed, you know, there's nothing wrong with running an amp 24/7. There's not a lot in there that's going to burn out. But if you want to put it in the power saving mode, or the customer requires it for whatever reason, you can set it for power saving or just leave the amplifier on all the time. It comes with a static IP address. If you want to change it to enable DHCP, that's entirely up to you. It depends on how the network is set up in the office you're working in. Once you're all done, save a password. Don't give it to the customer. What's really nice is that once you're, I'm going to go back here a second. I'm going to jump back a few slides. I want to show you something. So you see all the stuff, right? We showed you all this coolness, and you can give that to the customer if you want. There's nothing wrong with that. Or on the front panel, you've got the matrix setup, volume control, and you can actually do some basic changing with the function buttons. But once you get all of that stuff set up, you can give the customer the interface if you want, or you can just have them just be able to use it from the front panel, and that'll keep the number of service calls down. Because they're very elaborate amplifiers, but they're really designed for you to make them great. But it's up to you whether you want to give your customer access to those screens or not. So now we're going to jump. I got one more amplifier to show you. Come on now. Sorry about that, but I really wanted to show you that again. I wanted to go back to it. So I showed you, there we go. I showed you a brief glimpse of this amplifier. This is from our Pulse Audio brand. This is our little Swiss Army knife amplifier. So it's a 7100 volt amplifier. It doesn't do 8 ohms, but it's got digital inputs. It's got analog inputs. It's got mic inputs. The mic has mic ducting. It's got phantom power. You can add IR control to it. It is 232 controllable. It's just a great little workhorse amplifier that doesn't cost a lot of money. But if I'm doing a small office, if I'm doing, you know, gas station, small restaurant where I'm putting in, again, 5, 6 speakers, this is an amazing little amplifier for that. Like Frank told you right at the beginning of the presentation, all these amplifiers are QC'd in our partner factories in Asia and QC'd again in Chicago. That means every input, the mic input, everything we do, we test it thoroughly in Chicago before it ever goes to the distributor, before you guys ever see it. So that was it. Not too painful. What are key takeaways, right? 70 volt. It's a great way to do speakers because it's an easier installation. It's better for distributing music. you learned about sonic vortex. I mean, it really is the best sound out there. I'm not just saying that because I work there. Okay, maybe it is, but it really is a great, great, great technology. So we walked you through our 70-volt amplifier line. Told you about their unique applications, and hopefully you guys learned something and you can make money. You know, it's all about how much money we can make, right? So with that, I am done. I'm going to turn it back over to you, Mr. Santos.
Sounds good. We appreciate it, Randy. Before you guys leave, we are doing a raffle, so hang tight. I'm going to make myself the presenter.
You going to do some Q&A? You guys got any questions? You want to unmute these folks?
Yeah, give me a second here. Let's see. We got one in the chat box. We had one about DHCP. And at default it is DHCP, but you can set it to static later for the BAV amps. And you got one more in there. Do you have a residential pre-construction bracket? Yes, we do. Yes, we do. For our 6.5 and 8-inch speakers, we do have pre-construction brackets, Mark. So let me see if I can. Second here.
We have while he's pulling up some names.
Unmuted.
Little random name generator. How many guys we got?
Okay, before we get to some Q&A, I've got a random name generator in here. So I've got all your names in there. I took out our Vanco people. So here it is right here. And let me just double check to make sure I didn't miss anybody. Yep, I've got everyone. So here we go. So this is for a raffle for a pair of speakers, and you're doing 6.5, correct, Randy?
Yep, we're going to do our 6.5-inch residential IC6 MBs, our most popular speaker.
Here we go. All right, Mark Krumbacher, you have won a pair of speakers. Mark, I'm familiar with you. So please do me a favor and email me the address where you want your speakers to be shipped. We appreciate that. And the floor is open, so I've unmuted everyone. So if you guys have any questions, please shoot.
Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it.
No worries. Thank you. Okay. Well, I take it there's no questions, Randy. For all of you, thank you very much for your time. And again, we're looking for feedback. So whatever you guys want to learn about next, please do me a favor and email me. Again, my name is Frank Santos. That's my business card on the right-hand side. Email address is going to be franks@vanco1.com. So again, let us know what you guys want to learn about next. But again, Thursday, we are repeating both of our PowerPoint, or both of our webinars, I should say, on Thursday. So again, one about our HDMI cables and HDMI extenders under the Evolution line. And again, we'll be repeating this webinar again with another round of raffles. So again, guys, thank you very much. Appreciate your time. Please stay safe out there, and let us know if we can help out at all. Thank you.
Thanks, Frank.
Thank you.
Frank, now you have to figure out how to stop the recording.
That is a good point. I think when it switched over, it may have stopped it.
Here it is.
But